Thank you to GameWorks Create for being a channel partner. Looking for a Kickstarter game you missed or 3D printed minis? GameWorks Create has a huge selection available, all at a fair price. Use the link in the description below to check out all that GameWorks Create has to offer. What's up, Rockstars? Today I have a special treat. As you can see, Dragori Games with some tape. I can't get rid of it. Dragori Games, the makers of Arena and Tanares, have sent me a box. I don't know what's in it. You probably do because I tend to title things pretty straightforward. Do some pretty straightforward, a lot of pretty thumbnails. So we'll see. But I'm just excited. I'm about to open this up. So let's find out. Now, as always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. By far, it allows me to focus on what I want to do, what I want to talk about. I can say what I want, and that kind of freedom comes from them, and I greatly appreciate it. So if you'd like to join them, there's a link down below, of course, to that. And on top of that, what's also really nice is I do an audio kind of vlog update thing, so you hear kind of the behind the scenes of the channel and a little bit more about me every week. I have a Discord, I do some play sessions, I do some giveaways, I do all sorts of stuff over there, so feel free to join if any of that sounds interesting to you. But if not, that's fine too. I totally get it. I understand. Shh, tape, you're so loud. I'm trying to talk. No problem at all. It's going to stay loose. There is a like button down there as well, and just the comment field, just letting me know, hey, appreciate the video, thanks for taking the time to film it and edit it, upload it, post it, all that kind of stuff. That's actually really nice to know that my videos are helpful. That's the whole reason I do this stuff, is so that you guys can maybe see the game a little early or see some parts of it, or set your expectations accordingly, all that kind of stuff I'm really looking forward to, so I really do appreciate that. And really, I'm just filling time while I struggle to open this box. Shh. Quiet enough. All right, now let's dive in. Oof. All right, now I will do a top-down view of this, so you guys will see kind of what. I got a packing list here. But I don't want to spoil the surprise. Get out of here. Packing list. We'll do a top-down view. We'll look at everything real close. This view is just so you know I'm a person, hello, and not just some floating hands on a black background. Okay, now this is, you could like dribble this. That's fun. Alright, let's take a look. Alright, I'm seeing some hero packs. This is cool. I will have to compare this to the originals, if this is the originals. Or the redone one, so we can really see the improvements. Now, way back when I reviewed Arena, I gave it a pretty good review, and that's because it's a pretty darn good game. Very strategic, lots of fun. The scenarios are amazing, multi-layered things where I remember almost every single one of my playthroughs. Like, in detail, I remember what happened, I remember misses, I remember things where we did really good, all that kind of stuff. So, but the minis needed some help, and I remember even actually they reached out to me, and I told them, I was like, hey, here's some stuff I've heard that might work out for you, and I believe that's what they've done. So really looking forward to seeing it. So we got the core box dragon for Arena the contest. We got the hero pack 1. This is Tanares. This is the redone one, so we will compare them. And we have a hero pack 2 for the rest of them. Same thing. I will say right now, right side up, upside down. I don't like it. If that's the worst we have to see, that's great. That being said, that is going to bother me. I'll have to fix that. Are the others like that too? Nope. Okay, we did good here. Can't mess up there. All right, let's go ahead, do top down. We'll take a look at it together. All right, guys, we're at the top down. We're at the detailed view. Now, I thought about it, and I'm actually not going to get the old minis yet. I will at the very end and compare them. I want to see these as if I was new, and also I want to see them without comparing, so that I just want to make sure I don't like see them better than they are or something like that. It's just, I think it's better to look at them as they are alone, like I would any other game, and then we can compare, okay, now how do they compare to the other ones? I think that's probably better. That being said, we're going to start with the dragon. That's what we're going to start with. No, it even says here premium figure, so let's see how premium this is. Let's see. I think this is the same one as the old one, but I will check. If it is, I've already seen it. Interesting enough, these, which I know are the new ones, do not say premium figure on it. And it looks like they're a different style box as well. So, kind of interesting to note the difference there, if you ask me. Now, dragons are a big part of Arena. I don't know about Tanares, we will find out, but for Arena, they were quite important. So, it was nice to have a miniature for it, that is for sure. All right, let's go ahead and take a look right now. And I can tell you right now that this looks the same to me. But maybe not. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I will find out, of course. I don't like the snap-in. I'm going to tell you that. Because if I want to paint them, see, so right here. Oops, right here is the snap-in. So what you can do is you can cut this, or you can get like a hot air dryer or a heat gun or something like that, and then heat it up and then push it back and it'll stay that way. But that's, and it's like right here as well. You can kind of see it there. And then there's probably one right here as well. Kind of locking that in. It keeps it secure, like it's going to run around in there or something. Like it's going to escape, I guess. I don't know. But the problem, first of all, is getting it out. The other problem, there we go, is if you paint your dragon and you paint the rim of it, which you should, this actually might be updated. Ah, this is updated. This is different. I can tell you right now it is. Yeah, this is not the same. I like this. This is good. I liked, by the way, anyway, it'll rub the paint, just especially one that tight. Okay, so one of the things I liked about the dragon is how low it is to the ground. It's not towering over you. It is in your face, and I really like that. The let's go and zoom in for sure. Let's get real on this. Okay, dive right in here. The teeth look great. Really appreciate the teeth. Those look awesome. The tongue also looks quite good. The inside of the mouth is not textured. That's something I always check to see if it is, because often they won't do it. It's just very often that's not the case. You can paint it like a very dark red, like a burnt red from Vallejo or something like that. It'll look great in there. But a lot of times they'll put ribs in there if they're really paying attention. Sometimes you can tell. The assembly actually is quite good. Maybe a little bit of fill in here, but not too bad. The texture is like nice around everywhere. Like, that's just really good. Listen to that. Oh man, that is texturified. Same with here. In fact, I love this like layered effect it's got too. It looks very nice. One of the bummers about it being low is it's a little bit harder to paint down in there. The transition, by the way, excellent. Well done there. I very much appreciate that. Look how it just fades in there. That is really good, actually. I dig that. Let wet blend the crap out of that. You're good to go. All of these are fairly thick. There's a little bit of a mold line here, but honestly, the mold lines are pretty minimal. The points are actually kind of sharp. Like, no joke, that's actually kind of legit. Yeah, no, it looks good. All this looks good too. He's got sculpted eyes. Definitely good looking dragon. I like him. Again, quite unique too. I love how long his fingers are as well. Or toes. I don't know if they're all toes or all fingers or whatever. Got a little bit of flash there. Just, that'll come right off. Might even be able to flick it off. Might have to cut it, but either way, that'll come off. No problem at all. Alright. I might have to cut it. That's fine. Anyway, alright, so there's the dragon. Let's move on to Hero Pack number 1. I love their artwork, by the way. It's different than most of my other games, and I just really like how fantastical it is, yet how real it looks. Like, I really appreciate that. It's not too cartoony. It's just really nice. Definitely recommend a lot of... Let's see, I'm going to be able to start this now. Recommend a lot of characters if you can help it. If you want to do the skirmish at all, which it's very good, having more characters is obviously great. The combinations are really good. But on top of that, just having different options for
the campaign is good. I used, most of my people are actually from the expansion, the Heroes and Dungeon expansion. So there's that as well. All right, now the one mistake I will say that they've done, and it's not really, I mean, it's part of the game, and I get that, is they have their miniatures in different colors. Light colored miniatures, especially stuff like yellows and oranges, maybe even these greens here, will not look as good under the naked eye as they will red ones. That's why most do gray. Honestly, that's why if you 3D print often, you'll find as well, but like, you can see this easily, right? But you can't see this easily. It's the same plastic, it's just a different color, but this blends, the lighting of it and stuff, it just blends it in more. I might prime them all to show you guys. I don't know. Well, we'll see. It depends on how it looks. I might look at it in post before, just to really get a good look at it. But let's go top to bottom. First of all, not snapping. Really appreciate that. That's very nice. And it's black, so I can see the shape. I appreciate that as well. And we're actually going to zoom in, I think, a little bit more, actually. There we go. Just a little bit. Again, I hope this is coming up well for you guys. In person, I can see this quite well. So let's take a look. Sculpted base. That's looking good. There's a little bit of a ring right there, I notice. I'm not even sure why that's there. It doesn't look like where a runner went in or anything like that, so I'm not quite sure. A little bit of touch-up right here on the edge as well. But overall, this looks good. It's not too shallow. It could be a little bit more defined, but this will still show up on a wash quite well, I think. I like the multi-layered part of it. The book is actually kind of bound. I like that. It actually even has some page texture there, which is kind of nice. And the texture on the outside is also quite good. The ridges on this ram that are like way in the way of the camera, again, look great. You can see that quite easily, I think. There is texture in here as well. Hopefully you can see that. Again, I barely can, not because it's not there, it's just because it's lightly colored. You can kind of see the bendiness of the plastic here, by the way, so be careful with him on that. Multi-part, this is separated here, I suspect, but perhaps not. Kind of hard to tell, which is good. True scale, he does have fingers. Let's have a beard, eyebrow ridge, nose line, all that kind of stuff. This is textured and sculpted on top of it, so you can do the design work really well there. And of course these ripples look great also, so that's nice to see as well. All right, let's take a look at her. Now I will say, of course, this is a little bit too big of an arrow. I saw what somebody did is they cut it right here and cut it right here and put a paper clip. And then you just prime and paint over the paper clip, and it's a little bit skinnier. It's just a little fat. And I understand why they did that, and I'm very appreciative that they didn't fill all this in. Even like Monolith does that, right? Where they'll fill this in. This has to be a separate piece, because you can't have that. Like, if you think about it, if this is how it went into the mold, right? How is the mold supposed to know to stop here and then start here again? Right, like you can maybe put in a little run. It's very difficult. So you gotta kind of look at pull direction and see what you do, or do multiple parts. Same here. This is a different part here as well. Maybe not the best assembly there. Looks like a big old butt crack. Texture here is great, really really nice. I'm not seeing any major mold lines, so that's nice as well. There's some minor ones, like I see a little bit around here, but just a little bit. I mean, it's certainly less than what you get from Come On. Hair looks good there. Spikes look good. This just seems so, because it's not even attached to her leg, right? So it seems so wobbly. But it actually seems to be quite robust too, which is good too. I love how these wings come off here. They don't here, they're sculpted on, but I think that's fine. The bent knee gives the excuse to do that. It looks quite nice. Very much like that. All right, let's look at some of these light ones, see how they look, see how they'll show up here. They look like they're freaking glow in the dark. In person, they look pretty good. Again, I hope I can do this. I'll try to edit the video in a way to where like it looks good throughout. I'll do what I can. I'm no wizard, not unlike this guy. A little bit of a bent tool there, but some hot water will fix that right up, or you might just be able to bend it. Great hair texture there, really really good. This is a bright green. All of this detail looks wonderful. all this detail looks wonderful as well. Really appreciate that. He's like overtaking his base, which I also like. The flowing here looks good. All the fingers wrapped around there look good. This is not too fat. It's actually a good thickness, which I also appreciate. This is like the texture inside the sleeves, also quite nice. I like this. This is going to paint up great. It really will. This is hard to tell right now, I think. Alright, she's been changed a lot. She got this like big old snake at it, and the texture on the snake is wonderful. I am definitely going to have to prime these to show them off to you properly. Definitely going to have to do the texture on the wings on the, I think it's a hawk, also quite good. Her thumb is nice and defined there, but otherwise she does have a mitten hand. There is texture for fingers, but they're definitely together. Same here. And in fact, what does she have in her hand there? I can't even quite tell. Might have to look at that after I prime it. Again, hair texture there. It's a little light. Could be a little bit thicker, but that's more of a sculpt thing than anything. Texture on the snake, though, is wonderful. And I love the hair going back there. And, whoop, I'll throw her around, too. All right, let's see. This guy's always cool. Again, hopefully this is showing up good for you guys. We'll see how it is. I can't quite tell. I mean, I can see visually how it looks like to me, but we'll see how it looks like in the end. This is bent, which seems kind of odd. I don't know if it's supposed to be or what. Surely that's not supposed to be bent, but where should that go? Should it be underneath? Maybe? It still looks kind of bent. Where is that supposed to go? I don't know. It's all bent. Like, I guess, like, I don't know. That's weird. I'm going to have to look at the render on that. I don't know. Maybe it's a curved blade. What the heck do I know? I mean, it's the same right, supposed to have 3, but whatever. Texture in here is wonderful. Again, same kind of, they all kind of fit in there. I wonder if do they all have that same base? I think they do. So they'll fit together quite well there. This is nice too. Look, it's not solid here. You see that? There's actually a gap there, so this hangs down. Quite nice to see. And it's not flat. There's actually texture there. The symbol here looks good. All the lay there looks good. The sword, nice and straight and a great thickness too. Not too skinny, not too thick. Looks wonderful. They did a great job on this sword. Really impressed there, actually. And then, of course, we have Mr. Rapier as well. Again, the sword, I think, is a standout there. There is, looks like a little bit of cleanup there, but I can't remember. I think it's kind of an ornate sword, too. I'll have to check. If this just needs a lot of cleanup or if it's supposed to look a little, I don't know. We'll take a look. Great texture. I mean, look at the texture here, though. Looks really good. Hopefully you can see that. Very, very nice. Very nice indeed. And this looks nice and smooth, too. There's a little mold line here, but there's not a lot of mold lines or anything. Actually, quite impressed with all that. All right, let's look at some gray minis. Even these are a lighter gray than I would like, but that's still okay. That face is not what I expected her face to look like. It looks a little long to me. I think it's just because it looks better from the side. You can tell her mouth is open. From here, it just looks really long. The hair is definitely, I think that, I was going to say the highlight for me, but that symbol on there looks good too. See, I can never hand paint that. I could not freehand that, but having a sculpt like that, I can paint that. Big old billowing cape. That'll look nice. Good assembly. I love that she's not touching. Definitely one of the better sculpts. This looks good. It's actually a good thickness too. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. And again, quite sharp. Like that's legit. All right, everybody's favorite dwarf. He is definitely one we played with. Definitely liked him. Just seeing him charge across the field is fantastic. What a wonderful shield, by the way. Inside of the shield is all textured as well, so appreciate that. Looks good. The chainmail. Look at the chainmail. Look at the chains on that. Oh boy, that looks good. I like that. I like that a lot. It's like, see, I don't know what this is though. What is this? It's like really flat here. I don't know what that is. I see the axe. I see the knife. I don't know what is this flat, smooth part here. Tell me. I want to know. Can't tell that. This axe looks good too. Oh man, that looks good. And again, great thickness. Really been impressed with that. All right, texture on the wings looks nice. It's definitely a stylized version, but I think that's quite fitting. She's very off-center. I appreciate that. Definitely could have been pushed in a little bit more. See how in the assembly there, they didn't push it down all the way. So that needs to be pushed in more. It's kind of separate right now. Don't know if it's glued in. Oh, there we go. Broke it out. So you should just be able to push it in there and glue it in if you need to. But yeah, that wasn't quite put in. You can see it was in right here too, but I think they did a much better job there. That'll be easy. I'll just clean it up a little bit, push it in, no problem. She's nice, and again, not touching. Very minimal mold line, and on the side instead of the front, I appreciate that. Same here, side. That's always nice. Mitten hands. Okay, so we do have the always together thumb out. It's ready for mittens. It does have fingers though. Appreciate that. The meeting of here, sometimes they can get a little funny in there, but that looks good. And this texture, look at that texture there. Oh, that is awesome. That just, it feels cool too. Really, really nice texture. All right. Very cool mini here. I love her resurrection move. Very, very nice in game. Love the, that again, she's kind of looking to the side there. There's a little bit of a mold line here, I see. But this fire, like ethereal stuff coming out of here, it looks wonderful. Really, really dig that. And you can kind of see the mold line go all along the side there. But, I mean, it's again, very minimal actually. And again, the texture looks good. Love the different billowy, how this compared to this wraparound here compared to this kind of overhang here. Just love the differences there. That looks really, really good. And the staff's cool too, of course. Of course. All right, two more. Got the werewolf. Now the red, as you can see, shows up quite well. The red actually does pretty good. And I'm sure there's a rhyme or reason to what colors work well. But for the most part, a medium gray, I think, is probably the ideal. But this red actually looks pretty good. So you can kind of see a little bit of the detail there. That being said, this guy's mostly just a werewolf. So that being said, you can paint him, I bet, really quick. You paint his skin, you paint his claws, you maybe paint his fingers maybe a little bit darker, paint his fur, blend it in, teeth, tongue, eyes, you're done. And base, of course. And again, right here, this could have been pushed in a little bit more. If this was just glued onto the top, that'd be one thing, but it's actually part of the base there, so that needs to be maybe pushed down a little bit. Probably my only complaint there. Otherwise, this is actually really, really good. And one more red here. The color, by the way, is the class. Added a little... so far, I think my biggest complaint is assembly, right? This needs to be pushed in a little bit more. We need to make sure to do that. Just because, so if you need to redo assembly, what you do 95% of the time, there's a little bit of nicks here too, 95% of the time they use kind of super glue, which gets brittle when it's cold. So what you do is you get this mini, you throw them in the freezer overnight, you wake up the next day, you should just be able to pretty much pop them out. You can kind of clean up any dried crystallized glue, glue them back in there better. And it doesn't hurt the mini at all to do that. So I've done that several times and it typically works. I've even had to do that with some Limbo minis, and those are great. Yeah, again, face looks good. A little kind of beaded necklace thing here looks good. Assembly on the arms I'm actually fine with, especially double arm. That's typically kind of hard to line up well. That's freaking sharp. Again, the axe looks wonderful as well. And I think a better sculpt than what it was before too. All right, that is Hero Pack 1. My goodness. Do we get any cards? Do we get any... Let's see if there's anything else in here. Just the minis. Interesting. Interesting. Let's see how that works there. So we have these. 12 minutes, 6 colors, combat rolls. Components, 12 highly detailed, reworked images following heroes. Okay, so I'm assuming you already get these cards, and these are just the new ones. So this is probably, again, I forget how they organize it. It's been a while, so I apologize for that. But for somebody like me who has the original, this is definitely what I want. I am excited. I am. This is just a good excuse to play it again. Come on. Oh, man, that's some thick plastic. My goodness. Maybe that was a really crappy razor blade. Maybe a bit of both. He reminds me of somebody I used to work with a guy that looked like that. It was kind of weird. Again, I love the art style. It's like digital, but also quite realistic, and I think a very cool way. And it's like a medium fantasy. So you have, it's not quite like super high fantasy where, you know, like your weapons are glowing, and you know, like everybody has like 20-pound shoulder pads and stuff like that. But you do have Minotaur, and you do have quite thick armor, and you do have like necromancy and stuff like that, which I really appreciate too. This one have 12 as well. Oh, this is already bothering me. 16 on this one. It is bigger. We're gonna have to change this anyway. What if the insert's the wrong way too? Let's see. Nope, it's not. All right, that's how it needs to be. There we are. All right, let's start with the red on this one, and we'll end with the yellow and see how that works. All right, so again, red's going to show up really nice, and I think it quite literally does. You can see his fangs in there. He even has like cheekbones that are looking good. His fingers, notice it's like they are bent and kind of clawy, and also to the side a little bit, which I appreciate. It's not quite mitten hands, it's claw hands. The texture here is very nice. There is a mold line down the front. That's unfortunate, but man, that texture there is nice. Now, it is quite faint, so I'll have to see how that looks with a wash. I think it might be something where I get the side of the brush and just very lightly caress his legs, which sounds very weird, but you get what I mean. Assembly on this is actually fine. I'm okay with this. And again, foot barely on there, and nice big old billowy cape. This will look fantastic highlighted up. Oh, I want to do that now. That just excites me. That's a cape and a half. What sucks is having to paint in here. Best of luck. All right, we'll do red again. Here's the Minotaur. Very stylized. You can see very top heavy. I joked about the shoulder pads, and then of course we get the one guy that has it. Huge freaking axe. Big ol' fingers. I like when they're bigger that they are separating them at least. That's nice at least. Separated here, but actually looks quite good. The inside of this mouth is textured. That is cool to know. That's interesting and of note, I think. The eyes, actually quite tiny in there. Very tiny eyes. Ridged, or not ridged, but like, I don't even know what you would call it. Textured horns anyway. But a very faint texture. Very light mold line. This hurts. Like, that actively is sharp. Like, legitimately that hurts. Don't pick them up like that. You will feel it. Yeah, no, otherwise good. Assembly looks fine. I'm okay with all of it. Looking good. All right, let's go orange. Take a look here. Wonderful hair. Love the flowing hair there. That's super cool. This was actually my character. I used her. She's very cool. She can like teleport through a wall. The heck is that? Is that like, it's quite the high heel. I think there's a little bit of flash there. This needs to be cut. But anyway, this new sculpt though is like way different than the original one, especially with the hair. But I love the blades out here. You might recall the lady from Tainted Grail that also had two blades. We call them banana blades because they're super thick, right? You can see how skinny these are. These look wonderful. Very nice. Perfect. Not too skinny, but not too thin. Again, it's always hard when they're like good luck painting in there, right? You're gonna have to like get a black brush and just jab it in there. One you don't care about. Maybe you can get on this side a little bit more because it can't be orange, right? If you paint it, it can't be orange. Again, texture on the legs. Very common. Separate torso. Looking good though. Very cool. I might have to paint up our old team. That'd be kind of fun. It's been a while. All right. Love the monkey. It's got, I mean, this one wins because there's a monkey. I love that the chest is open, by the way. I don't recall it being open before, but I do like that. A little bit of a bent weapon here. Again, you can do some hot water treatment, and that'll be just fine. This one, a little bent too. Not too bad. Maybe just slightly too skinny, or maybe just because of how it's out there. Assembly is actually quite good. I'm okay with that. A little bit right there, perhaps, but honestly, pretty darn good. And again, genius to put it there. That just looks like shadow. Like, that looks fine. You don't need to fix that at all. When you prime it and paint it, it'll look great. There's a texture on here as well, but it is very faint. It'll be interesting to see how this texture plays out when I paint it. Very curious about that. This being separate, by the way, on each one makes it so much better than molded, like flat onto the billowing cape. It could look a little silly. Yeah, the amount of layers on her is quite good. Very interesting, but a lot more than a lot of other ones. Let's get some purple in here. She's also quite strong. I really like her magic, actually. Again, base is pretty much the same as always. Some good assembly on this one. I quite like that. A little bit of mold line. Her finger out here does look quite good. She's kind of doing a two-finger thing by the looks of it. It's kind of funny because now she doesn't quite match the art completely. You can kind of see the art there. She's doing it with one hand, but not both hands, but that's okay. Love the fan, by the way. That'll look great painted. It'll definitely stand out. And the billowy cape on the end there is also quite cool. Hair looks good too. Facial features looking pretty good as well. Very tiny hands, though, I will say. Very, very tiny hands. But otherwise, looking cool. This one's got like a base and a half, which I appreciate. Look at the texture on this. I love it. This is going to be great. Yeah, the only bummer is that these are so lightly colored that you can't quite see them as good as they actually are unless you really look, but it is quite good. Quite good. The corners of here are there. It could be a little bit more defined, but it's hard to tell with this light color. I'd have to do that, but typically you have like some kind of gold thing there, and then you can see the latch there as well. I'm glad the detail is there even underneath. That's why I looked. Same with this. This is textured in there. They didn't necessarily have to do that, but they did. Again, good luck painting in there. This looks good. His face looks good. His wand looks good. This is a great Harry Potter guy. And again, the dragon coming out of the mist. Very good transition. Yet again, I like the transition on there. Looking good. Great eyes. Great eyebrows. Great teeth. Love it. That's a cool one. I want to go the other way here because I want to look at her. She was another one that was on her team. Her blizzard attack was invaluable. It's nice to have a good AoE. And my goodness, did they change the sculpt on this. This was known as pretty much the worst sculpt in the original one. And now this is, I think, one of the best sculpts in this one. That snowflake looks awesome. The texture, the like woolen texture on here looks fantastic. The hair flowing out all which ways looks great. The exploding kind of ice from her hands is insane. I really dig that. Really do. That looks super cool. It looks like there's maybe some little bit here that kind of messed up, perhaps. Kind of hard to tell. Let me see her other shoe. Yeah, maybe a little bit. All this ice here coming out. Again, quite sharp. Very good looking. Same with all this stuff here. Just a very cool, and again, like she's like fully turned as this is coming up. Just a very cool mini. They definitely did a good job there. Really happy to see that. Very cool. All right, we're gonna go gray and then yellow. We're gonna end on yellow and see how that works. Also fantastic. This is another cool guy. Love the skulls here. They are, it looks like, about to scale as well, which is, I appreciate that they're not like super big or super small. There's maybe a bigger one here and here. But I don't know, I think it might be something in between there. So I think they don't like stand out like, oh my gosh, what the heck's wrong with those? Why are those so small or so big? The multi-layeredness is good. Again, this is just asking to be washed and highlighted. And then the kind of the void face is good. Also, super cool sword. All right, this is another big one that they updated. Again, love the wraparound on the hand and the fact that they actually sculpted back there. This is obviously much more well done here. The assembly, it's okay. This I could have been pushed a little bit more. Again, I think the assembly is probably the only thing that really needs some work there. The sword looks good, nice and detailed, maybe a little fat, but I think it's because of that ornate work on it, so I'm okay with that as well. And then a few little odds and ends, like again, there's that other kind of circle pour spout kind of runner thing going on there. Otherwise, the armor's cool. All right, we'll have 4 more to look at, guys, and then we'll look at them compared, and that'll be a lot quicker. Assembly could be better on this one for sure. I think it's actually misaligned a little bit. I think he needs to be turned slightly, so that's kind of a bummer. And again, not quite pushed down all the way. You kind of see that. Assembly is definitely the biggest issue here, but everything, like, look at that point. That is fantastic. The whole hand looks good. The face looks good. Again, this is like neon to you guys, and I do apologize for that. Definitely not the typical lighting you would get in a game table, in a game room right now. Again, love how that goes all the way up. Not that you're going to like look up his skirt too much, but when you do, you want to be impressed, and I am impressed. That is not flat in there at all. Quite good. Otherwise, this assembly is actually about as good as I think you can get for the most part on those. And the sword, very fat sword, but I think it fits for him. Okay, this one always looked like a statue to me, but like a cool one. If it feels like instead of picking him up, like normally you pick up, I want to slide him. All right, he just needs to like come in like that. I do that all the time if I play with him, not against him. And I think I've only played with him once, but when I did, I certainly slid him around. It just feels right? It's like a chess piece or something. Very cool design. Definitely framed with the wings, ornate. Definitely a power stance. I appreciate that. I will say that this sword should be a little bit out. Like right now, I think it's flattened and it's all one piece. But it looks to me like it's too much a part of him. I would want that popped out a little bit more, if that makes sense. Like it looks, in fact, it even almost looks like it kind of bends into him, right? And yeah, I don't want the thing in the middle attached, if that makes sense. It's nice and attached here on the floor, but yeah, I'd like this popped out a little bit more. It's too flat on him. It's fine to be attached to him. I just think it needs to be popped out a little bit. So, my opinion on that. All right, this is a fantastic sculpt as well. Love the whole stab in there. I think that's done pretty often, but not only in this pose. This is very much like, see how his foot's on here and then his other hand's like he's like reaching over it, like he just like stabbed into it, as opposed to like landing or something like that, which makes sense because the head is already severed by the looks of it. Like I'm trying to figure out, like there's no neck here. That would make a little bit more sense, I think, but this is like flat on the base. Maybe don't think about it too much. This is kind of cool. Again, I do appreciate this being separate. I think it looks good. Otherwise, again, a lot of power stances here. And then the final one is the monk. He has a very big hands here. He's got the big hands. But at first I thought that was kind of weird, right? Like why are his hands so much bigger than hers, for instance, right? Which should I do the green? I don't think I did the green. Oh, I guess we'll end on green. I didn't do that. But it matches the other yellow guys more, and at the end of the day, that's also pretty much his weapon. I know he has this, but if you think about it, a lot of the monk is kind of the martial arts fighting stuff, and he even looks a little kind of wow to me. So I'm okay with him in a void. I think he might look a little weird in there, just like this guy might look a little weird in there, but I think they're both meant to be kind of fantastical in a way. So yeah, at the end of the day, we have orcs and vampires and minotaurs and whatnot. I love that this goes past the base. Really appreciate that, but not like almost. I can barely slide that underneath, which looks really good. Again, underneath looks great. It's not flat anywhere. The ridges here look good. The spikes are good. A little bit of a flash here, but otherwise I love this kind of twirling, billowing little part off the weapon here. Nice touch. Same with his hair there. And both of these combined with this make it to where if they weren't there, that weapon would kind of stand out a little bit, but it looks like it's one movement forward, which I do appreciate because he is like bolting. Look how high his leg is raised there. All right, let's look at that green because we apparently skipped it. Here is the Bard. I actually really liked her weapon more on display than this. I'm fine with her with like a battle blade and actually fighting. I get that, and I'm probably alone in that, but I really liked her original sculpt. This is a better sculpt. I liked the concept of the other one more, which she just had the you could use her as an NPC as opposed to a fighting, which I thought was really cool. This is flat here, which is unfortunate. It would have been nice to go up just like those other ones. I'm not sure why this wasn't when the other ones were, but it looks, I mean, when you're looking at the table, you don't notice it all, right? It's only when you pick it up and kind of look at it, and you can paint it, but then you have to like keep a little ridge where it gets a little weird because you don't want the black to show up. Otherwise, though, the potion bottle looks fantastic. Love the shape of it. Love the ornate instrument. A unique shaped weapon is cool too. Her face looks good. Hair looks good. All that looks great as well. One more mini. Here he is. Very, very cool mini. You can barely see it because it's this bright green. The skeletons coming out, I love. The souls coming out through there, I also love. The gigantic blade, I'm down with. I like just about everything with this mini. It just looks really, really good. Just a cool one. His blank stare, love that as well. Love the crease between the hood and his head to separate it. That looks good. I love that you can still see a little bit of the base in there. Again, appreciate that as well. Definitely one of my favorites there. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look very quickly at some comparisons. Alright guys, so I have the old dragon here, and a lot of people might think that it wasn't updated, but it actually was, and I want to point that out. So here's the new one. Okay, now at first glance you're like, oh, it's a different color, but there's a lot more here than that. So I want to point out some flaws, like in this one, for instance, there is some nasty like mold lines here. You can see them kind of go all the way down the wing, right? And of course there's just kind of the poor glue job and all that. Very tiny little eyes, a flat tongue, and then there's all these like spots where it's not very detailed, as you can see there. It's just really kind of mushy, right? And then we come on to this one, and you'll notice that those mushy spots have been improved a lot. That there's actually much finer texture here. If you compare just the texture on the tails, you can kind of see the difference there. This is much finer. There is no mold line visible at all on these wings. I mean, like, it looks really, really good. Like, there's a tiny, I guess, little one, looks like right there, but it's pretty much insignificant. A much cleaner job on the glue. And then again, you can kind of see the difference even in this, these spikes here, and then the texture there compared to the quote-unquote texture here and the spikes here. And then the eye, you'll notice, is also much more pronounced, right, compared to the kind of tiny eyes there. Additionally, the tongue now has some texture. There's a mold line on there, again, very small, but it's there. But it's not actually flat anymore. Instead, there's actually kind of like this middle kind of bump here. And then the side of it also, where the glue job is just, in general, just cleaner, right, compared to here, where you can see a very drastic head, you know, like a line here. And then you can see the kind of the issue there compared to a much, much more inconspicuous, where if it's primed and glued, you don't even have to worry about it, that line there. And then there's actually like no separation here. So they completely redid the mold and the sculpt. On the bottom here, again, you can see this nice little mold line right across the flat part here, going all the way down the body, which again you're not going to see here. Notice it's missing here because they completely redid the tooling on this to kind of put it in a different, it was assembled completely differently as well. And the bottom, just kind of nice to have things like that. So instead of the post going in there and this being skinnier, they thickened this up a little bit and then makes it kind of nice and clean on the bottom. So definitely an improved sculpt. While it's kind of designed the same way, the texture, like I said, on the tail and stuff, the assembly of it, the eyes, the tongue, all that kind of stuff, the wings, they just look better, just kind of plain and simple, which is kind of nice, of course, as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and go to all the characters. Now I'm going to start with the core box, then I'm going to go to the Heroes and Dungeons expansion box. That's the majority of the extra characters. And then for the extra class, I'm going to go to the Imperial box at the end. Well, I might just announce them. I don't know. We'll see. I got them all lined up here, and I guess we'll decide how we go along. Let's go and start core box, though. Now I'm going to zoom in, I think, a little bit here. Well, I might just hold it up. I think I'll just do that. So, here's the difference. As you can see, quite the difference. You'll notice on all these old ones, they had a very skinny little base here and no texture, of course. Now, it's actually kind of funny because they reached out to me after my unboxing and review and really wanted to know kind of my feedback on everything, which was very nice of them, very humble of them. And I actually pointed them to a manufacturer that I think did quite well for them. So I'm glad they ended up happy with them. And
I think they did pretty good. Now you'll notice, like I said, there's that little assembly part here that needs to be pushed in a little bit, but texture-wise, and what I like about it is that the sculpt is generally the same, right? I mean, it's the same concept. It's just executed so much better. And it goes to show that an idea can be the same, but I mean, like look at the wings, just the feathers, and the texture here is just incredible. Of course, the face here compared to here, right, is like night and day. Like there's a huge difference there. Just really, really nice. Definitely better. We'll just put them over here for now. Let's go to the other two in the core box. This is the other ones you get. And again, original and the new one. Like I even have to tell you that, again, night and day. The hair is better. You'll notice a little kind of upturn here, and of course the texture. The facial features are nicer, of course. A lot more detail and all of it crisper on the clothes here compared to here. The weapon completely redone and just kind of reimagined in a much fancier, nicer way. Now that they're able to do so much more with it. Same with the magic here, which is like it looks like a fruit or something weird like that, versus this, it's kind of coming out everywhere. You'll see the little necklace thing here. You see how it was actually brought down like a necklace instead of like a little choker kind of thing, because they couldn't really do a whole lot there. Just overall, so much better. Just a ton better. So really glad to see that. Big improvement. Let's keep going on the core box. So we'll go with these here. And this was funny. I remember laughing so much at the midget hand. Like just a teeny tiny little hand there just looked so funny to me. I could never take this character serious. And now, as you can see, the hand is improved. All the weapon again has been enlarged and improved. There's now like a wrapping on there, and more instead of just a circle inside, there's actually more detail there. And again, I hope this is showing up okay. This green is kind of the worst at this, but trust me, it's better. Again, all the texture here, you get like this nice little texture inlays here, and it's all sculpted on and everything. He now has a little spell book kind of thing here, or a Bible, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, his religious tome or spell tome or whatever it might be. Even the sun on the back looks good. Of course, his hair and his facial features. This was a really bad mini that was definitely improved with this. I could actually now play him and not be embarrassed. Next up is the healer, at least I think most people's main healer. And again, the snake improved a ton. Though again, low bar here. This whole character has her little tiny mitten hands have now actually holding stuff out, and there's like a hawk on her arm now, and her hair is kind of going out instead of this flat little thing here. Actual kind of leaf plants and stuff like that. Just overall, again, much more thematic, much more improved. And the skill's actually a little bit larger too. I don't know if you noticed that, but even putting them, kind of level on the base, there's about a forehead height difference, and I think that really helps these minis as well. All right, next let's go to some brutes. And this was always kind of an interesting sculpt just because he's so twisted. And I really appreciate, again, they had this idea, like the core idea was always sound of like, okay, this guy's just swinging as hard as he can, right? But it just was assembled bad. You can see the mold lines. It was just not a good mini. And now this new one here, much improved, as you can see. I mean, just a night and day difference. Again, the muscle difference on like his legs, or even like his chest here. And of course the mold lines are pretty much gone. The head is actually like not dumb. The weapon, again, a little bit bigger. It's just the style they're going for. A little bit more dynamic of a pose here. The assembly is all right. This definitely would work if it was primed and painted. It's a little bit more noticeable otherwise, but it'd be fine without too much fuss. Again, just so much better. And again, all the like clothing, and they were able to add like these little bones stuff here, and then these boots look so much better. Just again, clearly improved. And for a game that you're going to spend a lot of time
going through and everything. You want your character to be cool, or especially if you're doing the skirmish. So this guy, I hated his tufts. These little like cheek tufts here just made him look so weird. And then he's got like a little bit of texture there, and again the mold lines are everywhere, and it's just bad compared to this guy. And again, the texture now on that fur is like amazing, and again the muscle definition is much improved. Notice he's kind of gone from right to left on which arm is raised, which is kind of interesting. But again, same overall sculpt. His fingers, like his claws, are much scarier now. It looks like he's about to just slap you. Just, again, I look at the back there. Huge difference. You see how here the tail was actually combined to make this, a little bit easier, where this one, it actually does come out. Really appreciate that kind of difference, right? When you come to like trying to get as few parts as possible compared to really, really doing it well. And this texture allows you to hide stuff like this. The heads are separate on both, but this looks so much better compared to this, right? And notice the color. It's a little bit different as well. It's a little bit more red now. All right, and again, of course, improved. I actually felt this guy was fairly good when it comes to the old ones. Like this one was acceptable. I would actually paint him and not feel too bad. But then, and this is kind of the funny thing, if all you had seen was this, you'd be like, oh, that's kind of an okay mini, right? And then you see this, you're like, oh, never mind, this is the crap mini. It amazes me how knowing what could have been or knowing what can be changes your perspective. So again, if all you've seen is this, you're like, oh, that's a good mini. But then when you see this, you're like, that is clearly a better mini. Just in design, right, with like the flowing robes versus kind of the static robes, and the overall detail, like as nice as a face is there, this face is of course even better, or even the hand here, and then of course the mold line. You see how mitten that is, and you see how this finger is up higher on this one. This gives it a more lifelike feel because you're not so rigid in your hand. The book here is more noticeable, which I think is nice. The belt here has been kind of revamped to improve. It's a little fuzzy here. Here it's very clear what's going on, which I like. Just, again, overall much better, especially the staff like this, the end of it. And just really, really nice. And how the hand goes into it. You'll see that as well. All right, next up we have the I think it's probably the most decisive one. So clearly the difference between a suggestion of a texture and this like clear, I'm sure you can hear that. I mean, night and day difference here when it comes to the chainmail. And then the boots here too. See how this just ends here, whereas this goes up on the sides to create like these kind of wings. Very, very nice. Really appreciate that kind of detail. And then, of course, the actual bow and arrow here, like the quiver here, is very much improved. The bow, obviously, is the fact that there is an arrow is nice. This is a little thick. I've seen somebody replace this with a paper clip to great effect, so that's kind of nice. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, just so I have to hold it so high. There you go. Hopefully you can see that better. But yeah, the pretend arrow versus real arrow, much improved. And of course the hair, right, actually being like flowing back like that is really nice as well. All right, next up we have, this guy's really cool in the game actually. I always forget his name, but the armor is clearly better. Clearly improved here. Just with literally every part of it. He's like upgraded his armor. If this was Ghost of Tsushima, this is the beginning and this is the end armor set, right? Like that's the difference. Very, very nice. But again, same pose. So like the concept is one thing. Sculpt design is one thing, detail's another, right? And not just sculpt design as in pose, but actual like what's going on with the mini itself. Very important. All right, next up we have this. And again, I want to note the color change as well. And I think this is a much improved color over this one. This one's just a little too bright for my taste. But again, same style, right? But whatever he was supposed to be holding, I don't know. At least here, it's much more obvious that he's holding kind of like a diamond by the looks of it, which is kind of cool. Again, the clothes have been changed and much improved. His jacket's now open and kind of flayed out versus everything so flat and constrained, which again is very appreciated. And that's because this was like one single cast versus multiple pieces here. But it's better for it, as you can tell. So again, face improved, hair improved, just overall looking a lot sharper than it was before, and it's better for it. All right, next we have the tanks, and again, huge improvement. This is one of the biggest changes in the whole game, I think, and it's so much better for it. Her hair was always like really unique anyway, right? And so having it kind of just added to and accentuated, I think really, really helps it. The armor, of course, is much more dynamic now. There's like this extra pieces of armor here versus here, which is like kind of hinted at here. But then it's like kind of also the whole thing. It's very weird because it's very soft here and then hard here versus very obvious here with kind of a cross in the middle there. And the weapon goes from wimpy and sad to really, really well done, I think, which is, again, quite nice to see. And there's actually, I've always suspected with the shininess here, some ABS, if you ask me. The cape, obviously, a lot better. And just, again, how dynamic it is so improved. And so they took a very static, I'm going to walk pose and made her actually a fighter. And really, really appreciate that change. All right, this is the dwarf my wife picked. And always liked this character. It's a great character in the game. So you can see the shield has just been like added a whole other layer to, essentially. Everything's more epic. All the weapons are bigger. It's kind of an interesting style. I don't know. I almost want to say like World of Warcraft kind of style, with a little bit higher fantasy, a little cartoony. The armor here has been changed again significantly. His beard has improved, which is important for any dwarf. His hair now kind of flows as opposed to like angles up for whatever reason there, which is nice. Just really, really well done again. And again, same basic like sculpt. Oh, and of course more weapons on the map because why not? But much better for it now that they've added so much more. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show the Imperial box. Just so we're going through all the classes. So here's the other class as well. This is you only get in the Imperial box, and again, very much improved. Same basic power stance. The weapon isn't all bendy and sad now, which I appreciate. The armor is actually kind of epic, like the character should be. The wings are more furrowed out, and again, the wings now have a texture. So just overall better in every single way. I always thought this was kind of weird. Like you can see is like, it's almost like a hospital suit, right? Where you can like see the butt through it. It's like, why are his wings like that? So I really like them very much more poofy like that. And for the complete opposite, let's go for the demon. Here is the demon. And again, his sword was always kind of sad. That's been improved, obviously. He was just wearing like a cloth, and that's really it. Having these like really spiky face kind of armor stuff, I think is much more fitting for him. The assembly on this one is not my favorite. It looks like it's maybe slightly off here. But again, filling that gap quite easy. And so if you were to paint him, it would still look so much better. And again, his fingers go from whatever the heck that is to actually having like nails and, like knuckles and stuff like that, like a finger. And they gave him like the spine and everything. Just a much better demon overall. All right, now let's go in and work for the last 4 on each one. We'll just work backwards here. So we'll start with them and end the elsewhere. So again, here, big difference here. Wimpy sword to big sword. I'm going to walk to... It essentially took any pose that was just them walking and improved it greatly. All right, so now he's like stabbing a dragon demon head kind of thing. Just, again, looks much more epic. A little silly when it comes to like the dungeon crawl, in my opinion, just because he's like walking around stabbing something. But otherwise improved there. All right, and then we have the monk character, and again, much improved here. I actually thought the sculpt design of this was quite good, and again, I think they always kind of were doing pretty good here, but this is just improved pretty much in every way when it comes to, like, I love how they added his weapon here with kind of the flowing cloth here, and his kind of top knot braid thing flowing is also quite nice. It adds a whole lot to this part of the character and gives him a nice sense of movement forward versus this like very static cloth thing, which was kind of awkward in a way. And it went from tiny hands to actually slightly enlarged hands, but again, it fits the style of the kind of bigger weapons and kind of a little bit of a cartooniness to it. I also like the little bit of armor and they just added little pieces here, which I think helped it from just this would have been a great, Mortal Kombat character or even a Tekken character, right? Just like a very plain, like, hey, I'm a monk versus like I am a hero and I have like, this amazing gear and can do these amazing things. My opinion. Next up, again, quite the improvement here. Same basic sculpt, but as you can see, the shield much better, the cape much better, the sword much better. Again, a little disappointed with the assembly here, but it beats this whole sculpt hands down. I mean, just clearly improved in pretty much every single way. Not really a lot to say about that, except it's better. And the final guy for this one, love the changes here. So, kind of gave him kind of like a like he's about to dash kind of look, in my opinion, there, as opposed to kind of his wimpy sword kind of hanging out there. Like the improvement to the helmet, or the hood, I suppose. But these like skulls and stuff and the tatters here and all that, so much better than this. So much better. Again, everything is just so plain on the other one compared. Not even the same. I love the little spikes they put on the sword. I think that's fitting too. All right, this is a fun one. I like this one. Anytime you can add a monkey, I feel you've made things better. And once again, same basic idea on the sculpt, just done to a clearly better degree. We got the monkey opening the chest right at her feet. We have the flowing cape that instead of flowing to the side randomly is flowing out. Right, you'll see these flowing to the side things a lot on command minis. That's because they can put them really flat like that, print them cheap. When you print them better like this, you have to start doing multi-piece like you see here and have to actually design it, but it looks so much better. So this is what I talk about when I talk about the flatness of command minis and the style like that, right? It's just completely flat here so that the mold can go here, and it's one piece, super cheap to make, like one of the cheapest things you can do. Whereas here you have, again, so much detail here and the stuff flowing out and over the shoulder like this, that it's a separate piece here and it's a separate piece here. And of course this is separate as well. And all that adds to the expense, but it's so much better. So much better. Like there's no denying it. I like the change in her weapon as well. Quite nice. And of course, again, the face and the hair improved a lot too. Alright, next we had my character. I really enjoyed the rogue here. She was great because she could like teleport like through walls essentially, which was awesome and very useful in the campaign. Highly recommend you take her or somebody else that can do something maybe kind of similar, though I don't think there is. Just her. Again, very improved here when it comes to the cape, when it comes to the pose. The hair has clearly made a huge change there. She was in kind of like this hood, and now the hood is down and the hair is flowing back. The weapons look cooler, obviously. And then, of course, the armor set, again, has been just, the ante has been upped. Like, there's more blades now available for her. And she's at the very back of the base. And this, of course, is lifted up, whereas here, she's kind of towards the back, but definitely not on the tiptoe, and she's firmly planted there. So this one looks like she's lunging forward with her feet planted. This one, she's clearly dashing forward. And again, the difference is important, I feel, and just much, much improved. One of the better improvements, I think, when it comes to just the scale of it. All right, next up we have this guy, and again, I think the improvement is clear. However, look at this, they did not push him all the way down, so I'll need to push him all the way down. Like this is part of the post that's supposed to go up there. But look at him like this. The point is that the sculpt, again, much better. I do think they need to work on that assembly a little bit, but they got everything else. Oh, I forgot to show the bottoms, but again, the bottom's clearly better too. They added a lot more detail around the base that kind of fits in with them. And again, the fire, you can see clearly, is better, which is quite nice. Instead of just kind of a ball with some wisps, it's like flowing out of his hand, which I greatly appreciate as well. So that's nice to see. Now this is going to be probably the biggest deal. This was definitely, I feel, the worst mini in the original. And then you have the new one. And clearly a lot more detail's been put in this. She now has like this like cool cape thing, and her hair's flowing back, and clothes are obvious, and this like ice stuff everywhere. Which there's even like some sculpt on the base, which you can see, which she's actually kind of like using to have a dynamic kind of pose. Just a lot better. Not that it was hard to beat that, but actually a good mini as opposed to just an improvement of a bad one. All right, we're going to go these guys again. Again, I do like the color change from this kind of like weird orange to the red. If you're going to do that, I still prefer all gray minis with some ring caps I can put on there, but you know, whatever. What do I know? Or even maybe just the base in a different color. But again, clearly different. You can see mouth open versus closed, completely resculpted, but same basic design. The hammer is now much deadlier looking here. He's got like these huge spikes. Again, the spikes were enlarged here. You can see muscle definition is obviously higher, but I mean the horns have been enlarged, but the texture, again, huge. This is like brushed hair versus like his actual like fur, which I think is quite nice. And again, the back, clearly improved as well. Ooh, definitely a big improvement there. All right, we're almost done. There's a lot of characters. Next up, we have everyone's favorite vampire, and again, the improvement is stark. First of all, his head was always like to the side, which I thought was funny. But you can see his hands. Look at the hand difference here when it comes to like. You see how attached that is and how plain that is compared to like the actual sculpted fingers. Very nice to see that. His face, huge difference in face. And this is much better face. The cape has improved also. You see the texture is very different. This has been enlarged out. Just a more refined miniature in general. You can see the texture on the pants he has versus, again, completely nothing like in here. Very much improved. All right, and now we have this. You know, this is kind of funny because when I first saw this, I really liked that she had her musical instrument here. I feel like you don't see that very often, and she totally still does. But then she also has like this huge blade, so she's definitely ready to actually attack a dragon or something. That was kind of the odd part. Like this is the better version for like. You're at the tavern or something, right? But if once you're actually playing the game, this is definitely the better version because she can actually attack. And look at that, it even has like the sheath to put the weapon in and everything like that, which is nice. Only thing I'd say to improve this again is to not have this flat on the bottom, but have it kind of raised up, especially if it's at an angle going down from where you would see it. But and again, hair improved, pose improved. This was completely redone, and I think it's better for it. One of my favorite improvements here, just because it's so freaking cool, and it went from something very plain, just kind of standing completely still, raising up two different things. Here's my weapon, here's this split crystal ball thing, compared to this, which is so much cooler. So first of all, this weapon, again, is just insane, right? But then it has like this like skeleton coming out, like pulling himself out here, and all these skulls going up in the mist into here. Such a cool mini. Just a great design. Huge improvement, like massive. I mean, this is just, there's no comparison in my mind compared to the two. Like, there's just not. This is so much cooler. There's so much more going on. Very much improved. And again, look at that dinky weapon compared. Like, just really glad they changed that one. All right, we got 4 more here, or 2 more, I guess, really. Okay, again, exact same, like, kind of sculpt, but they added, again, so much more. They added this fan with this little kind of flowing thing here, so you can see she's kind of like pushing back there. There's an extra little piece here that's coming up, right, that they added, which I think is kind of nice. Otherwise, the actual hand, I think, is better. I mean, again, low bar there, right? But, there's not a whole lot different here except for that. And, of course, the detail level and everything. And see how this is splayed out versus, again, everything's so flat. So flat. And this is actually, like, coming out like that, which is quite nice. And look at that, not even, like, solid. Like, that just goes all the way up. Very nice to see that, too. And the last one, which I always thought was kind of impressive. They even tried to do some basing on here, but they have changed that a lot. First of all, they changed the hand again, which I thought was kind of interesting. But it's because now he's holding this book, which I think is awesome to see. I think that improves a lot. These big old wings are super cool compared to these tiny little wings there, right? That's a big difference. And now he actually has like a tail coming up too versus just nothing. Again, very, very much improved. So I guess that's really it. I was just really impressed with the changes, even to like the dragon and stuff like that. I thought it was really well done. Really impressive group of minis. Very happy with them. They are just so much better. Like literally in every way. So that's all I really had. I'm not going to bring all of these in. Maybe I will. I don't know. Depends on how long I talk, I suppose. But overall, again, very happy with it. I don't have any other thing to unbox for Tanares yet. That is not my fault. They had a mess up with the shipment, and so I get to wait while all you guys enjoy it. But I still have the game, so there's at least that. And I still got to see some of the new minis, so I'm happy about that as well. But definitely excited to show off everything when I get that. So I'll be sure to do so as soon as I can. But anyway, that's it. That's all I had. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys again really soon.